Hey guys, welcome back to Confusing Bits. I'm Corey, and today we're going to talk about Mythos, the Greek myths reimagined by Stephen Fry. Um, too long didn't read, too long didn't watch. This is fantastic. If you ever wanted to know more about the Greek myths, but you didn't want to read those old books. You wanted something like a fun retelling of the actual stories, because these were stories back in the day where they were meant for entertainment. If you wanted like a modern reinterpretation of those old stories, and so that you could still have the context clue of like who Persephone is and who is, I don't know, who is Poseidon, all of those things. If you wanted to know more about that stuff, this book is right up your alley. Especially if you love Stephen Fry, which I do, you should definitely check out this book. It is fantastic. In fact, I loved it so much. Like, as soon as I figured out that he wrote this book, I knew it was a topic that I wanted to know more about, but I also knew Stephen Fry, and I knew I was going to love it. So I went ahead and got the other two books, which I haven't gotten to yet. So it's like a trilogy of books that goes over all of this jazz. Anyway, too long didn't watch it. Whatever is that it's fantastic. I would highly recommend it. Stick around if you want to know some more. Let's read some blurbs really quick. In the starlight over Mount Othyris, Zeus and his 5 liberated siblings laughed and stamped and hooted and howled with delight. Together they would overthrow Kronos and his whole ugly race and establish a new order. They would not, despite their parents, call themselves Titans. They would be gods, and not just gods, but the gods. This is very, very Stephen Fry. You may not recognize the name. This is the dude. You've seen him before. You've heard his voice. He's a fantastic speaker. He did a quiz show. What was it? It was one of those panel shows on BBC, which I thoroughly I loved it. It was like a bunch of, the dude is like so knowledgeable about, seems to be so knowledgeable about so many different things, like I can't even imagine. So that's why he just speaks so well about all of these topics. Anyway, let's look here. Discover the thrills, grandeur, and unabashed fun of the Greek myths, stylishly retold by Stephen Fry. This legendary writer, actor, and comedian breathes new life into beloved tales, from Persephone's pomegranate seeds to Prometheus's fire, from devious divine schemes to immortal love affairs. Fry draws out the humor and pathos of each story and reveals its relevance for our own time. Illustrated throughout with classical art inspired by the myths, and this gorgeous volume invites you to explore a captivating world with a brilliant storyteller as your guide. And let's just do a quick, I don't do this for everyone, but I think it's worth it. Stephen Fry is an award-winning comedian, actor, presenter, and director. He rose to fame alongside Hugh Laurie in A Bit of Fry and Laurie, which he co-wrote with Laurie, and Jeeves and Wooster, and he was unforgettable as General Machelet in Blackadder. He hosted over 100 episodes of QI, that's the panel show, and has narrated all 7 of the Harry Potter audiobooks recorded. I did not know that. I might have to do that again. I might have to read Harry Potter again just so I could listen to an audiobook. He is the best-selling author of 4 volumes, Revenge, Making History, The Hippopotamus, and The Lyre, and as well as 3 volumes of autobiography, Moab is My Washpot, The Fry Chronicles, and The More Fool Me. Very weird names. I didn't know he did the Harry Potter stuff. I love Harry Potter. I haven't read it in probably 10 years, something like that. I have to read it again. Anyway, it's great. This book. So I did an audiobook. If you've been following along, the books are trophies for me. Most of the reading that I do is actually audiobooks in the morning when I do a morning walk or run for like an hour. And so I get an hour of reading, up to an hour of reading every day via audiobook. So that's how I ever to get to. If you want to know how to read more, that's how you do it. It's a great way to read more. But he does the audiobook. Obviously, he does the audiobook for this thing, and it's fantastic. It's just great. Like I said, he's a great speaker. I'm gushing over his book. I can't wait to read the next one. But if you are the book person, I did look through here. It's a very nice book. You notice it's not like in the standard. It's like a wider book, and it's an illustrated book. So it's not your standard, publication hardback or whatever. It's very high quality. This is a thick paper. It's got all this classical art in here where it talks about this. Like, Phaeton had begged his father Apollo to allow him to drive the chariot of the sun across the sky. I forgot about that story. It goes into all of these little stories that you hear about. Yeah. Apollo had a child by a mortal, and his child, and he paid no attention to him, and his child, trying to prove himself, got him to like promise to let him drive the chariot, because he drives the sun across the sky, because that's what Apollo does. And his son, his neglected son, got him to promise to give him a wish, and his wish was that he gets to drive the chariot, and it ends in catastrophe. Let's put it that way. These stories are really great, being retold in like modern times. They're just so good. This is a book that I could see myself reading again, because there are so many names to keep up with. That is something I struggle with. Even when I'm reading like a lot of these books, like I remember like Robert Jordan, Eye of the World, where they're just throwing character after character after character, and this book is packed with. There's probably close to 100 characters. Well, maybe not. There's a few dozen characters in here that you get through in this relatively short book. It is about 350 pages, but it's a ton of characters. But most of the stories, there's like he starts from like the beginning of the story of the Olympians. You start with like the Titans, explains what Titans are, and then we get to the Olympians, of course, explaining what Olympians are, and it explains like the whole chronology of things, and like the descents and who's the parent of what, and then how that got to be, and then the little battles and that they have, and spats they have between each other. It's great. So it's like kind of a chronological telling. So it's easy to follow, even though there's a bunch of different characters. And really, after a while, you get caught up into it. To me, it was told in a way. Maybe it's because there's so much pre-built context. I already know who Apollo is, like in a vague sense. I already know who Zeus is, at least in a vague sense, coming into this book. So I wasn't building all that from scratch. And I think you've heard Prometheus. You know who Prometheus is. I thought that he like stole fire or whatever and gave it to humans. Where the story is much more complicated as to why it was stealing and that kind of ordeal. It's so great. The stories were great. The way it was all packaged together. This is a underrated book. I don't know why this book is not mentioned more. This is fantastic. You get a fun story to read, or a fun bunch of stories to read, like little short stories in a cohesive narrative, and you're also getting cultured because now you know more about who Prometheus is, or who Athena is, and you could speak more authoritatively about those topics, or at least understand when people are referencing those things. You understand the context a little bit more. So I love it. This is great. This is like the perfect marriage of entertainment and education. it is fantastic. When I say education, I definitely do not think that this book is primarily about retelling the classic stuff. It's primarily about being true to the classic stuff or whatever. It's not about being proper education. Like, this is, you're going to be entertained and you're going to be educated along the way. It's like, at no point will you be turned off by the education. Let's put it that way. It's very much on the entertainment side, which was the books, the classic books that were meant for entertainment. They're just so old that it's hard to read, you know. And plus, they were built over, you know, hundreds of years, so it's like a mismatch of different ideas of different people putting things together. So part of that is, you know, that they're just somewhat disjointed stories, and this kind of brings them all together. I don't know. I've said this over and over again. I love this book. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. Anyway, this was Mythos, the Greek myths reimagined by Stephen Fry. I will definitely be continuing the series. Again, they have Troy and Heroes. I don't know which one's next. I can't remember. But up next week will be light one. This will be Donald Duck, the Pixelated Parrot. This is a collection of the old Donald Duck comic books that they put it in book form. I will go. The next book is Donald Duck, the Pixelated Parrot. And if you want to know more, you got to tune in next week. I'll see you guys then. Bye.